The Officers Club at Naval Special Warfare Center Coronado felt wrong that night. 250 elite operators filled the room shoulder to shoulder, but there was no celebration in the air. No warmth. No easy laughter. It felt less like a gathering and more like a test. One no one wanted to fail in public, yet many were quietly hoping someone else would. Lieutenant Cara Thorne stood near the bar in her dress uniform, posture straight, hands relaxed at her sides. She did not lean. She did not fidget. She did not skim the room nervously. The gold trident on her chest caught the light whenever she shifted, and every time it did, a few more eyes locked onto it. Whispers moved through the room like static. Standards, politics, weakness. The words were spoken just loudly enough to be heard. Lieutenant Commander Bryce Reaper, Hawkins didn't bother whispering. With a drink in his hand and an audience behind him, he questioned how history was being made, and whether it ever should have been made at all. Laughter followed him, uneven and sharp, fueled by alcohol and permission. Cara did not respond. She breathed once, slow, controlled, eyes forward. Across the room, Colonel Declan Thorne watched it unfold, expression calm but alert. He had seen this moment forming the instant she walked in. He knew exactly how dangerous a crowd like this could become when pride and tradition felt threatened. Hawkins stepped closer. Too close. His voice dropped, tone turning personal. The space between them vanished, and the room seemed to inhale as one. Then his hand began to move. Cara Thorne was in her early 20s, and at a glance, she looked like someone who had taken a wrong turn into a room that belonged to bigger men. She wasn't tall. She didn't carry loud confidence or forced swagger. She stood with controlled posture that made her seem even smaller, like she had learned how to take up less space on purpose. But there was nothing soft about her, nothing uncertain in the stillness of her hands. Her face stayed unreadable, not because she was cold, but because she had trained herself that way. In her world, expression was a leak. Reaction was a gift you handed to someone who wanted to break you. The trident on her chest was real, not symbolic, not ceremonial. It was earned in the same water, the same sand, and the same pain every man in that room had bled into. She had made it through the pipeline, finished what most people never even dared to start. The numbers on her file weren't rumors or marketing. They were the kind instructors remembered. Top-tier marksmanship, calm under time pressure, navigation that didn't crack when visibility disappeared, underwater evolutions completed without hesitation when others unraveled. She wasn't the loudest voice on a team, but she was the one who didn't lose the route when the world went dark and the water closed overhead. The quiet habits weren't personality. They were discipline. Her breathing stayed slow even when her heart wanted to sprint. Her hands stayed loose. Her weight balanced without looking ready to move. And wherever she stood, her eyes found exits without turning her head. That awareness came from a childhood shaped by one man, Colonel Declan Thorne, 92 years old now. Age had thinned him, but never softened him. Korea, Cold War operations, decades of advising after the uniform came off. He didn't teach with speeches. He taught with habits. How to stand without inviting challenge. How to answer without feeding a bully. How silence does a work pride always ruins. He taught angles and leverage like other grandfathers taught baseball. He taught how to read hands, posture, room temperature. How to win fights without starting them. He never taught her to be ruthless. He taught her to be precise. Somewhere along the way, a call sign followed her quietly. Firefly, a small light, unannounced, refusing to go out. The men in the club saw none of that. They saw her size first, history second, then rumors. Rumors were easy to spread and hard to kill. That standards had been lowered. That instructors had been pressured. That politics, not performance, had opened the door. And because she was the first woman assigned to an operational team, every doubt they'd ever carried finally had a target. It didn't matter if she had done the same runs, the same cold nights, the same inspections, passed the same thresholds. In a room full of men who built identity on being the hardest, the first crack in tradition felt like an insult. Her anchor wasn't the trident. It was a name. Master Chief Cara Thorne. Call sign Phantom. 15 years in the teams. A reputation that ran ahead of him. Killed in Afghanistan in 2011. Some men in that room had served with him. Others knew the stories. And that made her presence harder to swallow. If she failed, the experiment failed. If she succeeded, they have to admit they were wrong. That's why Hawkins mattered. He was respected, not liked by everyone, but respected the way dangerous men are respected. Multiple deployments, a voice that shaped atmosphere. Alcohol made him bolder. Cara knew all of it. She knew the room followed his lead. She knew reacting, even once, would feed the story they wanted. So she chose silence. Not fear, not weakness. Decision. She let laughter die on its own. Kept her posture steady. Refused to flinch. Silence didn't calm the room. It sharpened it. Hawkins noticed immediately. Her refusal pressed on his ego like a bruise. He spoke louder. Tradition, standards, politics, progress, said with a smile that made an insult. The room tightened. Standards matter, Hawkins said. They're the only thing that keeps this place honest. Cara turned her head, slowly, just enough. Sir, she said calmly, I earned my place here under the same standards you did. I'd appreciate it if you stepped back and called a night. Glass shattered somewhere, not physically, but in the air. Hawkins smiled, not amused now. You don't lecture me on standards. He closed distance again. Colonel Thorne stepped forward. That's enough. Hawkins waved him off. Your father was a hell of an operator, Hawkins said quietly. The room tilted. He died out there. Good men die when teams aren't strong enough. Declan moved faster. You don't speak about the dead like that. Maybe weakness runs in families. The room went still. Not quiet. Still. Cara's face didn't change. But something inside her shifted. Mechanical. Precise. Do not match strength. Redirect it. Hawkins mistook stillness for shock. He stepped closer. His hand rose. For a fraction of a second, nothing happened. Then everything did. Cara didn't retreat. Didn't tense. She let his momentum commit. He swung. She moved just enough to let it pass. A rotation. A pivot. Momentum redirected like water past stone. Her right hand drove in, compact, precise, under his ribs. A liver strike. His breath left him in a violent gasp. Before gravity finished, her other hand followed. Short, clean, knuckles at the hinge of his jaw. System shut down. Hawkins collapsed. Heavy, final, silence. 250 operators stared. Cara stepped back once. Hands lowered, breathing steady. No triumph, no anger. He moved to hit me, she said evenly. I defended myself. That was all. Rear Admiral Hayes arrived minutes later. Heard the accounts. Watched the room. Discipline. He said quietly, studying Cara, not aggression. He acknowledged the optics. Then the name. Cara Thorne. Phantom. Recognition shifted the room. You're dismissed, Hayes said. Remain available. Briefing at 0600. Cara walked out the same way she entered. Quiet. Controlled. Colonel Thorne spoke once beside her. You did exactly what you were trained to do. She nodded. Strength does not announce itself. It stands ready and waits.